Hello, and welcome to episode 54 of Friends of the Show. I am Stephen W. Skinner, and this is my podcast where I get to chat with some of the best and funniest people I know from the internet. Now, this week's friend is a hilarious Canadian Comedy Award-winning comedian and actor based in Toronto who's been killing it lately on all fronts, touring stand-up across the country, writing satire for CBC Comedy, booking all kinds of TV gigs, and generally being very fun to follow on all social media. Now, I'm, of course, talking about Cassie Cow at Cassie Cow on Twitter. This one was so much fun, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Now, please enjoy Friends of the Show, episode 54, with Cassie Cow. So here, I can play the jingle.
Yeah, I want the jingle.
We got the jingle. Shout out to Kyle I. Davidson for the jingle. I was actually going to play your little jingle that you had on your show, or on your web series.
Oh!
Right? That would have been great if I had got that ready. I was thinking about that earlier. Okay, so let me introduce you. This comedian and actress from Toronto is great. Everything I like in a friend of the show. Smart, hilarious, nice, and sweet, all rolled into a bundle of fun. It's Cassie Cow at the Cassie Cow on Twitter, and Instagram also the same. Really great on both. Yeah, welcome, Cassie.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh my God, it's like you pre-wrote that intro for me. How wonderful.
Yeah, wrote it and read it to perfection, and here you are.
I'm so
thank you.
flattered.
Yeah, so you're great. I was just mentioning on Twitter and also Instagram. So I'm kind of expanding my focus. I'm posting a little bit more on the gram, but you're out there. Your stories are, I know that you went to a nice scone place this morning. So. Oh
my God. I'm always so flattered when people watch my Instagram.
I guess so. Yeah, well, I mean, you're out there. You're really, hustling. You're living that life, and it's really interesting to watch, from the sidelines. Kind of weird because we've never met, but it's nice to see people doing it.
Oh, good, because I'm always so insecure that my Instagram stories are just about me hanging out with my cat and promoting my shows.
You know what? That is a big part of it. But that's fun. That's part of the fun, right? A lot of people love that pet Twitter. Like all my dog posts, get pretty heavy engagement when I post my dog.
Every once in a while, I get insecure and I put out a story being like, do people like the cat content? Should I dial it back on the cats? And overwhelmingly, people trip over themselves to be like, more cat.
Right.
So I keep it in there.
Yeah, well, I think the cat minority might be the most vocal, but yeah, keep the cat stories coming. People do like it. They love a good pet story,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah. So, but it's not just pets. You're out there doing shows. All your Instagram, you're re-gramming great grams of yourself.
Yeah,
that's what I love.
Mean, I can't tell you. I force people to take stories of me.
Oh, that's a good move, right? So you're like, oh, yeah, it's just a regram or whatever. But really, it's like a selfie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do like to promote shows. I also like to, make stories of other comedians that are great in the city. I think that's, so important.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
People do not know about comedians. We are so not famous.
Yeah, and it's great because the people who do take that extra time to click on the tagged person and then follow that person, they get exposed to more hilarious stuff,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's for the good fans. So yeah, I see that you're out there doing it, and yeah, it's really great because I would like to do it a little bit more, but it's so intimidating. It feels like I'm way behind because I haven't really done. When stories came out, I never made a story.
Oh.
Yeah, stories came out, I never did one. So
I now like stories a lot more than posts. For me, I'm not trying to be a beauty, Instagram. I'm not going to compete with people on being beautiful. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make sense to put pictures of my face. But the stories are great because you can rant about whatever, and the filters are so fun. And also, if it's garbage, you just leave it and then it goes away.
Yeah. See, I think that's what Snapchat introduced. And then Instagram's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And they just took all the good ideas. Yeah. So that's the good part about stories, I guess. It's just sort of gone in the wind, right? It's just it's here for now. and you saw it or you didn't, and then it's gone.
And I think that people like that it's very like DIY. Like you just took this story because a thing was happening and it's like not properly framed and whatever. Like it has that charm of just like very in the moment, which is great.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, everyone got to follow the Cassie Cow on Twitter and Instagram. It's great you were able to lock that up. I was like, Cassie Cow, it's probably a pretty common name.
I mean, I was hoping it wouldn't be as popular. Okay, so at Cassie Cow is just like some woman who stumbled onto the internet in 2007 and just like used up my handle and then posted once and then left the internet.
There's so many stories of that. The person who just got the good handle early in the day and they're never gonna give it up.
Yeah,
but they're never gonna use it. Like I think this the same with Steven Skinner.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, happy to be Skinner Steven, but. Come on, Steven Skinner.
There are no good usernames left in the world.
No, and it's pretty crazy because you either got in at the ground level of the internet and you got to use a good username, or you didn't. Or now, if you're growing up in the future, you're like, oh it's Bubba with 5 A's, 667. Like, oh, right.
So many underscores. Yeah, you have
many underscores. Yeah, double underscores, right? That's the real trick. You're like, it's 2 underscores at the end. There's all those tricks. Luckily, I never had to use them. My best was my first email was Stevie Wonder at Mail City.
Wow.
And I was like, this is it. I'm set for life. I got Stevie Wonder. And then when Mail City folded, later on, it was like, hitched my horse to the wrong pony.
Yeah. You know what? I bet you Stevie Wonder was like, damn, he got the good handle now.
Pissed. He couldn't get his email. I bet he's the one who was behind the failure of Mail City.
Yeah, absolutely. He was like, well, fuck this company. I need this username.
Yeah, he called up Bill Gates. He's like, can you do an email server for me? Yeah, well, the Cassie Cow. So everyone's got to click follow right now for great Instagram stories and hilarious tweets.
Thank you.
Yeah, really funny.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you do comedy. It's fair. Yeah, you're very funny. Love the tweets. And it's great because we have a lot of like Twitter pals in common. So it was so great when I happened upon you, running in the same circles. And I was like, this is great. I can't believe I, hadn't known about you before because you're like from Toronto, which so I should know about all the good Toronto people.
Oh, you're in Toronto?
Yeah, well, yeah. I used to be heavy into the Toronto comedy scene around 2008 to 2012 kind of thing. And then
old school.
Yeah, and then I moved out of the city to Hamilton, Ontario.
Oh,
so now I'm out of town. But I still pop in every now and again. But yeah, not as deep into it as I would like to still be. But it's great when I find, the new hot, young, new hilarious people that I follow. Like, whoa, these are the new people. That's great.
I actually think Hamilton has a really sick comedy scene, though. I always really like the Hamilton comics when I see them in Toronto.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Who are some of your favorite Hamilton comics? Let's give them a shout out.
Oh, my gosh.
Put you on the spot.
So many of them. There's that AJ Bate. There's Michael Moses.
Those are great. Yeah. I've seen both of those guys. They're great.
You're putting me on the spot right now.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm realizing I only remember people's names if they have their real names on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. That's a fun trick. You're obviously a fake namer on Facebook, are you? Or are you real?
No. I'm so interested in having people know me.
Oh, yeah.
I met this guy who is not a comedian, but he's like a super, super famous, like skincare guru.
Okay.
Just like at a party. I just met him. And he is like, so many followers on Instagram that he was like, oh, I can't Instagram exactly where I am because people will like show up and harass me. And I was like, you are living my dream. I only wish people would show up to where I am and try to come talk to me.
Yeah, I definitely could have crashed your scone brunch this morning.
Yeah, oh my gosh, but I would have loved it. And he was like, no, people come and like try to chat with me. And I'm like, why don't you want to chat with them? Like, these are people who like you.
Right. I guess, yeah. So, like, maybe once you get to that level, only that level is when you don't want to meet crazy people through Instagram.
I mean, that's my goal. My goal is to get big enough on Instagram that people want to come get scones with me.
Yeah, and you tag the scone place and they comp your meal or whatever, right? That's the next level. You're influencing. I don't even know that world, but it seems great. It doesn't? I don't know. It seems like there's a broad spectrum of like people who, you know, started doing it and then brands were like, you're good, we will align with you. And then there's other people who are like, no, I want the money, right? Like they just started it to try and be the influencer.
I don't think that works though.
It doesn't. Yeah, I know it. And the times sometimes that it like they fake it for so long, but then they try to get more money, like get too much for what they are giving out, and it always backfires. There's always those crazy like, you know, huge hate vlogs about these like vloggers.
Yeah, I think if you're putting out so much content and you're so directly connected with your audience that people can smell bullshit. Like, I just don't think it's possible to make consistent content that's disingenuous. Like, if you're just doing it to get sponsorship brands, like, there's no way you're coming up with good content. Like, you have to just like fucking showing people your makeup or whatever your thing is.
Right? It has to be a niche thing too, right? There's so many there's so many general ones, but they haven't found their niche, right? Like there's so many, like makeup is one big umbrella, and like mommy bloggers is another one, right?
Yeah.
Huge umbrella. So yeah, it's pretty crazy out there for influencers in that game. Yeah.
But I think you have to be genuine. You have to actually love the thing that you're blogging about, and then those deals come to you naturally. I don't think you could just like do it to get the deals.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I do think that it's like people can smell the bullshit. If not immediately, then eventually, or even if most people can't, some other people can, and they will tell you.
Yeah, that's true. Right? It's very self-policing on the internet, I think.
It is, yeah, and so many people just like follow obliviously because they'll never see those articles explaining why the person's bad or whatever.
Right.
It's pretty nuts. Yeah, the internet's a crazy place. All right, so what else are you doing on the internet? I was just on your website. Everyone's got to visit CassieGao.com.
I got the .com on that.
That's so good, right?
Yeah.
I had to go StephenWSkinner.com because obviously you know who got it's actually funny. It's actually funny. That other Stephen Skinner website is actually pretty hilarious. It's like one of those old websites where it's like black with a green font and like weird boxes everywhere.
Like a GeoCities site?
Exactly.
An Angel Fire site?
Yeah. What were you doing back in the early days, the Wild West days of the internet?
Oh my goodness. I was on Neopets all day, every day. I was so great at Neopets. It took up a good 5 years of my life.
So that was the first like addictive game of your life.
Well, no, I will say the first time I was ever introduced to the internet, I didn't know what it was. I was like 6 or something, like I don't know, but like my dad told me to go on Disney.com, and I for years thought the internet was just Disney.com. So,
well, that's a big part of it. I'm not gonna lie, that's a big part of it. I would just
go and play their like flash games, where it's like Goofy's in space and you have to like toss him a basketball or whatever. I just spent like 2 years on that, being like, this is what the internet is.
Flash games for kids was such a huge thing. It was the original, just like give the kid an iPad with a game on it with like a fun app. That was the thing, like flash games, simple little flash games. And you'd be like, oh, here, go to this like flashgames.com or whatever. Make sure to update your software. And then boom, you could sit in front of it for 5 hours and play these little games. That's what the internet should get back to.
And then also, what was it? I also wasted years on like E-Bombs World or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
With those little videos?
Yep, yeah. Were you exposed to real life at too soon an age? Were you horrified by anything?
I don't think so. I just it was a lot of really, like now I'm characterizing it as like absurdist humor, right? Like a lot of it was just like wacko. And those videos had no, this is before people had no attention span. So these videos were like 20 minutes of like one joke that would just get hammered.
Yeah, those videos, those early internet videos were sort of carryover from like the underground VHS videos where it's like there would be like a weird video and people would like make copies on VHS and like pass it around in like these underground circles and stuff. And those were like the first videos to like get uploaded to these weird websites. So yeah, I guess that was the first set of memes, like the first kind of memes, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't try to copy people's VHSs.
Did you have any great VHSs growing up?
Yes. My favorite VHS, which I sold in a garage sale, which it breaks my heart to this day, is Spice World. Oh. I watched that movie like it was the Bible. It was my favorite movie of all time.
Wow. I mean, I understand. I was a Spice Girls fan. But
were you?
Well, I mean, the hits are undoubtable.
Okay, well, who was your favorite?
The hits are undeniable. I actually liked Sporty, which is kind of weird, right. But also scary. Yeah, you know.
That very underrated Spice Girls. You're very hipster about it.
I guess so. Those are just the ones that I like. Maybe I've sort of I like Sporty because she had like I thought was the best voice, and I thought Scary had the best like vibe.
Wow.
Is that weird? Who should I have picked?
No,
I don't know.
It literally had never occurred to me to rank them by who is the best voice.
Right. I guess because I came to it through the music. I wasn't like a fan of the message of girl power. Even though I am. I'm a supporter of that.
Oh my God, but at the time that I was listening to the Spice Girls and the Backstreet Boys and stuff, like I didn't even speak English. I just remember I learned those songs phonetically so that I could sing along with them.
Wow, that's crazy. So you still obviously know them all, like they come on, you could sing them all.
Not all of them. I actually have a very bad memory for music. Like I know the part that's addictive, like the chorus or whatever, and then anything else I don't really know. Right.
You don't know the deep cut verses, but you're like, stop right now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. That's the part that I know.
It's so funny that you really didn't actually know the words that you were saying.
No. Well, because I grew up in Quebec City, and so I only spoke French for a big chunk of my childhood, and that's when all those bands were popular, and I was I don't know, I'd never seen women in their 20s doing stuff, you know what I mean? So I was just wow, so enthralled by it, and I didn't know what they were saying. I was just so pumped about it.
You never seen anyone slam their body down and zig a zig
No, it was very new to me. I was very impressionable.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that thing hits you just at that certain age where you're just primed for it. Wow,
but also
crazy.
I will say Spice World is a perfect movie. Okay. It has everything. It's got romance, it's got mystery, it's got action, it's got it's got aliens, it's got dancing, it's got singing, it's got crime, it's got everything. It is a perfect movie.
Okay, some might say that's too many things.
There's no such thing. It is an experience in 90 minutes.
I will agree that it is an experience. I've Googled it here, and IMDb has it at 1.5 stars.
No, that's haters.
That's a 3.4 out of 10 here.
No, I don't trust the IMDb. I feel like the IMDb gives a lot of high stars to very boring movies.
Right. Okay.
No, I don't think that's I don't think that's. You have to go on the stuff that's user rated.
Okay,
when I go look up movies, I usually go to the local theater websites, and then I check if people near me like this movie or not.
Wow, that's an interesting system.
Yeah, I don't go mess around with critics or whatever, because I'm clearly critics are living a different life than
jaded.
I am.
Yeah, critics are jaded. It's their job or whatever. They have to be so nitpicky. They can't.
Yeah, and they're all pushing these nonsense movies I don't know, these 3-hour long epics about old men talking in poems, and you're okay, that's obviously not what I'm into.
Yeah. Bring me back to Spice Girls. It's the only way.
It is a perfect movie. And I'm very sad that I sold it. I hope whoever bought it from me is cherishing that tape.
Yeah, I mean, great buy. I love a good VHS snag at a garage sale.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I haven't had a garage sale. Do people even do garage sales anymore?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in my area, for sure.
In Hamilton?
In Hamilton, yeah, in my little suburb or whatever. I live in Waterdown. In the neighborhood, come springtime, a nice Saturday, Sunday, there gonna be some garage sales.
Oh,
Yeah.
I lived in Hamilton for a hot, less than a year, for a hot semester.
Okay. Did you go to Mac or a local institution?
No, I went to McMaster for my master's degree,
Ooh.
and I was there for the first semester, and then I hated Hamilton so much, I moved back to Toronto, and then I just commuted for the second semester.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, the Steel City. That's what we call it. Hammertown.
But I'm sure it's beautiful in other ways.
Listen, it's on the escarpment. I live on the escarpment, which is very nice. There's a lot of great green space around here. Just like the city and the downtown core is not the best. That's why it's like if you imagine RoboCop, sort of like the Detroit of the 80s or whatever.
Oh my God, but exactly. Okay, so the first time I'd gone to downtown Hamilton was for the election a couple years ago, and then I just went there to vote, and I took the bus, and it was like a real adventure. And I just remember there were so many parking lots in downtown Hamilton.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to say downtown Hamilton is like 20% Dollarama, 80% parking lots. And
it's definitely a lot of like weird strip malls, like sort of like a classy strip mall is like the fancy mall downtown.
But I like the mall. What's the mall called?
The one downtown, I don't know. See, because I didn't grow up here either, but my wife is from here, so she would know. She'd probably been to that mall a bunch. I'm more of the top of the mountain guy, Lime Ridge Mall. Ever go to Lime Ridge Mall?
I hear the mountain's nice.
Yeah, so she's from the top of the mountain, so that's nice.
Yeah.
And now I live on the escarpment on the other side, so that's also nice. But Hamilton, Ontario, check it out. Arkells.
Well, the mall that has the club in it, that has Levity in it.
Yeah, is that where that is? I haven't been to the new comedy club, Levity.
Yeah, I haven't been in it, but it's where the old Yuck Yucks used to be.
Right. Okay. So yeah, right downtown.
Yeah.
Check it out. There's definitely a lot of parking. Parking available.
Yeah. Drive your cars.
So, it's nice. I mean, Toronto is also very good, we should say. It's like Toronto is very good comparatively. So
I love Toronto.
It might be a little bit more expensive, but I think for the culture, for everything else that you're getting that maybe Hamilton doesn't quite have. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think especially with doing comedy, you really do need the proximity. Like there's no organization in this entire community and industry. Like no one will tell you anything ahead of time or anything. You just kind of have to right place, right time it.
Yes.
So I think it's in comedy, like I've gotten so much stuff just by being available and like nearby.
Yeah, and it worked out. So that was a real smart move then, moving back, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I couldn't really imagine doing comedy like not in Toronto. Like you'd have to have a whole setup that doesn't rely on the community. Yeah, otherwise it's not possible. Like people forget you so fast if you're not around. Yeah,
and that's the thing that you really got to remember about this is you're out there hustling hard. That's why you got to follow the Instagram stories because you can see the hustle. You're out there, multiple shows, so many shows, and like that's what you got to do, right?
Well, yeah, I will say I think I don't know, like I think a lot of people have a lot of different philosophies about how to do stand-up, but for me personally, if I'm going to leave my house to go work on material, I can't just do one show. Like I think that's like a colossal waste of my own time to have to get myself to a thing and then get geared up and give my evening. So you do 5 minutes for like at least a 3 or 4 hour commitment. So if I go out, I try to hit as many shows as I can. So usually I try to do 3 or 4 in a row.
That's so smart. It's a strategy. And that's why you're so smart. Remember I said you were smart up top? That's part of the smart. You're smart and you got the hustle, which is great. You're out there, but that's, work smart, not hard.
Or both. I try to do both.
Yeah, that's much better way to say it. So you're out there also hitting auditions. Is there a cool industry term for auditions? Because you've been booking some. That's a cool term for it, right? You booked it.
Yeah, you're catching me right now in a very busy time. It's not always like this. It's like really lucky that I get to be so busy. But I just booked a TV show, and I'm in the middle of shooting it right now. And I also have a really big showcase coming up at the Rivoli on Wednesday. And we're doing like press coverage and stuff for it, which is very exciting.
Oh, that's huge. Going to be a great show. Everyone check it out at the Riv. Great venue.
And then on Thursday, so my showcase is on Wednesday. Today's Sunday. My showcase is on Wednesday. Thursday, I'm going on tour. So Thursday, I'm starting a Western tour in Alberta and BC. And then through my tour, I'm supposed to keep shooting this TV show. I booked it. Like, I don't know. TV is insane for never telling you when anything is happening. So I just booked it. I just had a shoot day last week. And then I have more shoot days that they won't confirm with me yet. So sometime when I'm gone on tour, I got to fly back in and out of Toronto to keep shooting it.
You know what? Good problem to have. That's so exciting.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel very, fancy, so jet-settery, you know what I mean? You're just like, I'm sorry, I just have to, fly in to shoot this TV show and then go back on my tour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I forget who said it, but it was like, famous comedian was like, yeah, they pay me to travel, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, doing the stand-up isn't the work. It's the doing the travel.
Oh, yes.
But, so do you have any good travel hacks? You've obviously been traveling a bunch recently, so... you have like an airport ritual? You wearing pajama pants?
Well, okay. So I actually don't travel that much for work at this point. Like, it's actually pretty tough to line up touring work unless you're quite famous. You know what I mean? So I hustle to travel. But I don't know. I'm very worried about getting sick on the road because then you're away from everyone that will feel sorry for you and help you.
Someone who will bring you soup, and they can't do it if you're in Alberta.
Yeah, and also, I don't know, I am the queen of overscheduling myself. Like, right now, I'm going on tour for 4 weeks, and I have shows literally every single night.
Single night for 4 weeks?
And when you're on the road, you do longer sets, right? Which is kind of like the advantage of going on the road is you get more stage time. So
even Edinburgh people give themselves that one day.
I have at least one show every night for the next month, and they're all 20-minute sets.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes two, you know what I mean? And I'm somewhere that I don't know, and I'm not a famous or successful comedian at all. I'm not even headlining. So when I go out, I have to find people to let me stay with them. So I'm not even staying in hotels or any space that's mine.
Oh, wow.
And you just travel as efficiently as possible. So there's lots of buses and just
Yeah.
I think the real hack to traveling is be likable, because then strangers will take pity on you and help you. That's actually how I got through a lot of my backpacking when I was traveling, before I was a comedian, when I was just going through Europe and stuff, was I just couldn't have done it if people weren't just nice to me.
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And sometimes, especially if you're on your own in a strange country, it's you have to rely on the people who are around you, and being nice is a huge hack. I don't know if it's a hack, but it's just be nice, and that helps.
It really is. And I also do think you have to kind of master the art of looking a little pathetic so that people just take care of you.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. I got you now. So that's the real piece of info. Just be a little piteous. Be
just a little, because I think people don't like it if you ask for help. People feel good if they give you help. You know what I mean?
They assess the situation, be like, look at this person. What are they? Oh my God! If I don't step in, this person's gonna have a real tough time.
Yes, absolutely. People feel great about helping you, and then if you, on top of that, are very grateful and fun to hang out with, then they're like, wow, I did such a good thing for this person, and it was a fun time to hang and interesting to learn about them, and then they feel so great, and then you didn't have to pay for a hotel.
Cassie, this is win-win. This is what the people listen for. This is great advice. You should be writing this down, listeners. Also, more reason to follow Cassie. All right.
Yeah.
So you're busy as heck, about to be busy as heck. Oh, I was looking at your commercials that you have booked and are in the can and have aired. The Motrin one and Milky Way one that are on your website. Everyone go check them out. CassieCow.com/videos.
Those ones are like older now. Like I've had a couple other ones out, but I don't know. I can't keep track of the commercials anymore because they sometimes renew them, sometimes they go out of airing them. But I do think it's always so exciting when people recognize me in commercials. I'm baffled that people can recognize me. Like I never recognize anyone in a commercial.
You're a chameleon.
Well,
I only saw the character. I only saw the pain boardroom brainstormer.
Well, I think so. I also think, like, first of all, no one's really paying that kind of attention to, like, the people's faces in commercials. But also, it's so, like, out of context. Because I've had friends that I haven't talked to in years that I knew in, like, high school that have messaged me being like, are you in this Motrin commercial? And I'm like, even if I watched a commercial where I was like, this looks like my friend Jim from grade 9, I wouldn't be like, I bet you he became an actor and got into this commercial. Like, that's not a thing that would occur to me.
Well, for some people, you know, be like, it's gotta be that. Like, they just kept thinking about it. Be like the next week later, they're just at work and be like, but what if it is that? What if it is Jim, you know?
You know what? I think what it is I'm very memorable. And, like, people are watching these commercials and can't get me out of their heads, which is, you know, this is my on-camera charm.
That's what it is. And it's so great to see, you know, friends in commercials. So it's probably fun for all your friends and fans, right?
I think it's very funny. Like, I've had people even on Twitter whom I've never met who don't know what I look. I mean, I guess they know what I look like.
They really put two and two together there.
But yeah, but like some I don't know, someone from like PEI or something just like recently asked me if I was in the Motrin commercial, and I was like, yes, but also we don't know each other. How would you possibly recognize me?
Just a huge fan of commercial actors.
I mean, you know what? I'll take it.
We've had some good commercial actors on the pod. We've got friends of the show. Amanda Brooke Perrin. I remember seeing her in some commercials. And I was like, that's so fun. Where she was in that, she was in like that Siri one where she made it summer inside. I was like,
yeah.
That's freaking Amanda Brooke Perrin.
I think comedians are always really successful at booking commercials because that's what they want in the audition room is for you to be like loose and then you make them laugh, right? Like when I'm not like a career actor or anything. Like I had a full career as an economist before this. So like I have no training at all. And so when I go into audition rooms, like the only thing I think about is like trying to make the camera person laugh.
That's great.
Which I think is how you book commercials. It doesn't work for real stuff. Like it doesn't work for TV and movies. They like want you to have talent. But for commercials, I think like they're so sick of auditioning all day that if you go in and you make them laugh, and then they'll just remember you.
And I think that's also probably what they're looking for, right? Someone who's just like gonna be like the person that can make you laugh, right, in the commercial.
Yeah, well, I also think people. I don't really have very deep insights on acting because it's not really like I don't have any training in it.
We're not going to get into your process.
But from what I've learned, like I've been pretty successful at auditioning, just because there's not a lot of comedians and especially like Asian women. Like there's just not that many, so I think I like stand out a little bit. But from what I've learned from being on set is that most of acting is not about acting. Most of acting is like you being a pleasant person. Again, going back to traveling. Yes. Just like you're going to be on set with these people shooting this commercial for like 16 hours. Like they want you to be a fun person.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're the person everyone's looking at, right? Like everyone's lighting you, shooting you, directing you, like miking you, like all that, like all the focus is on you. If you're unpleasant and people have to stare at you for 16 hours, they'll be so upset.
It's true. Wow. It's so like commonsensical, but it's just so key.
So I think a lot of people cast just based on like you being a chill person.
Wow. What a great skill to have developed, Cassie. You're so chill.
I've been working for this for my whole life.
Just like, oh man, she's so chill. Let's get her on the commercial. Get her on set.
Well, I think that's why people like comedians, because comedians are, especially for commercials and stuff, right? Because, like, comedians are typically, I mean, I'm not going to say all of them, but, like, a lot of comedians don't really have a lot of ego about acting. They're just, like, so psyched to have work, and then they're just there to, like, make all the crew laugh and and they're like very happy to take direction, and they're not going to try to be like, I think it should be this other way. We're just like, oh my God, do you want me to keep making jokes? Because it's like my dream to be here.
Yeah. I guess it's sort of like for a comedian it might be bonus work, right? Like sort of a side stream that they never thought of as the main thing. But for actors, it's like as a negative side thing where it's like waiting tables and doing commercials, maybe not exactly what they want to do. They want to be acting in dramatic roles.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that many actors, but I always think it's so funny when people really want to do dramatic acting, because it's not that I'm not interested in it, but just to like really seek it out, to be in a position where you have to make yourself so angry. Like as a comedian, that goes against everything that I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like, why you want to make yourself angry and crying all the time?
Yeah, I'm like, you want to be sad, just like live your life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, there's enough sad shit. Need to be more chill, like Cassie. All right, so let's get down to it. Dating. What apps have you tried? You online dating?
Oh my God.
You doing online dating?
I'm on all of the things.
I don't even know what they are. What are they? I know about Tinder, and I heard tell of these other ones such as Bumble, and they have weird names like
yeah, they're
Match.com.
all called like Squish. Oh, listen, I am a vet of the online dating. It absolutely does not work. And is the bane of my existence, and yet I do it because I'm very lonely. And I've done all the apps. Oh my God, I do all of them. I've done Tinder.
Boom.
I've done Bumble. Boom. I've done OkCupid.
OkCupid. Yes, I forgot about that one. What
I've
about
done
Fish?
even
the
the
Fish
new
one?
ones. Okay, I've never done Plenty of Fish, only because I
You're saving it.
I was like, my standards are low enough already. I don't need to go on.
Oh, burn. Yeah, I ain't no fish.
But I hear that everyone on Plenty of Fish is like just like really young people. I don't know. It's not. I don't know. It doesn't remember. But I tried the new ones. So there's new ones now. There's Hinge.
Okay, Hinge. I've heard of this one.
And there's another one recently. Coffee Meets Bagel.
Okay, so that's more of like a daytime meetup focused.
I don't know what the difference is between all these things.
Because each one has to have their like niche or like their focus kind of thing, right?
Well, I actually think the difference is how they operate. So all of them have like a little bit different rules.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what you like based on that.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you're like desperate to find love, you're on all of them. So eventually you end up seeing the exact same people on everything.
That's so funny that you have to keep swiping through and you're seeing the same people.
Yeah, but like I also think it's like so skewed for like men and women. Like men have such low success on any of these apps that they have to be on all of them.
Right. Yeah.
You can't afford to only be on one and get one match every like 6 months.
No, I guess it's true. Yeah, you got to have 1 million fishing rods out there. Right?
Yeah,
one fishing rod in each app.
Listen, it seems as much as I think it's rough online dating as a woman, like I can't imagine how rough it is online dating as a man.
Yeah, it is completely different, right? Like it's a different perspective, different way of attacking things probably. Like I'm sure you've seen the whole spectrum of like opening lines, like good first opening lines that sort of like pique your interest and you're like, oh, it's fine. It's like non-threatening. It's, playful maybe or funny. And then you've seen the other end probably.
I will say like you get jaded very quickly doing online dating. It has to be in waves. Like nobody can be online dating consistently all the time because you get so angry. So you have to like, when you're in a good mood, you like ramp it up and then you do that for a couple months and then everyone is terrible and then you fall into a deep depression and then you don't do it for a couple months and then you heal and then you get optimistic again and then you're like, oh, I bet I could do it again, and then you have to go back.
Wow. Yeah, it's an awful cycle.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Wow.
You get jaded so quickly because like now sometimes I feel you judge people very fast on online dating, which like of course is the point of it, but you kind of develop a little system in your head of how to filter people and it's based on nothing, right? It's just fully based on like instinct and your mood.
Yeah, and your past experience with similar things.
Yeah,
you're like,
so,
once I swiped right on a guy who was holding a fish, and he was a huge asshole. See you later, fisherman.
Yeah. But I will say, like, you develop these rules in your head of like people with fish are idiots, and then because there's so much sampling out there, you talk to enough of these people that a lot of these rules like make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
like they seem like they're based on nothing, but I just find like small indicators of early in your interaction almost always correctly bloom out to be a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine. So yeah, how long do you normally chat with someone before you like set up a meetup, or just like it depends on your mood, right? Depends on what part of the cycle you're in.
It does depend on my mood, but I just know, like, when I was younger and I was starting online dating, I was so willing to give people benefit of the doubt. So,
right.
like, I would chat with them for a long time, like weeks, and we would, like, text forever before we would meet. And, like, you put up with a lot of stuff. You're like, this guy's, like, not that good looking, but we'll like, whatever. Or you're like, nah, he's, like, bad at this, but we'll, like, get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now I have, like, no patience for any of it. Like, if you're not perfect, I don't have time for you.
Yeah, each like failure or whatever, you're just like, oh, that just a little bit more jaded for the next guy.
Yeah, well, now, like, I don't – so, for example, like, I love texting, but I've noticed I just will dump so much time. And the success rate of online dating is just so low that you can't be chatting with everyone for, like, days and days and days before you meet them. So now I, we'll have one chat, like one conversation.
Yeah.
And if you're not terrible at the end of that, then let's meet. Because I'm not going to text you for a week and then meet you and then find out like there's something else really wrong with you, you know?
Yeah. Well, the meeting is the real meat and potatoes test,
yes.
Right?
I've also learned some guys are, well, maybe girls too. I don't know. I'm not trying to date girls. But some people, I think, are very good at texting. Like, they're very charming. They're very receptive and, like, available. And, like, they can communicate a lot of emotions and nuance through texting. And then when you meet them in person, they, like, they're like fully different people. They just like don't know how to emote at all.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought of that. Like I always think about like the dichotomy about the person's life online now and then versus like IRL or how they are in real life. But I never thought how like it would translate where you're seeing both sides because you're interacting with their online self through the app, and then when you meet them in real life, you get that true like, wow, it's different or it's similar. Yeah, I never really thought about that. Wow,
there's
that's
also
really
so dimensions that you don't assess for online that you can't, right? Like for example, it took me so long to realize this, but like you can't figure out what people's voices sound like on these dating apps. Like, you could be chatting with, like, a very handsome man who's, like, very attentive and da-da-da-da-da, but then he has, like, a jacked-up voice when you meet him, and it just, like, like, chemistry is so fickle, you know?
That's pretty nuts. Like, what? I don't understand why these things don't have, like, a little video. Like, that used to be the thing, right? Like, these dating services. Do you remember, like, in the 80s, where it'd be, like, you go in, and they, like, there's a coach there or whatever who, like, asks you questions about yourself, and you just, like, sit there, and they video you, like answering a few questions about yourself, and then people like browse the videos and they're like, oh yeah, I'd love a date with Chad. He seemed very nice. And then so like it's surprising that these apps don't get you to have a 6-second Vine intro where you're like, hey, my name's Cassie.
Well, actually, can I tell you a very fun story? So last summer I was part of Just for Laughs Montreal.
Congrats.
And thanks. And it was my first time at the festival, and it was very exciting. And like, I somehow made friends with Godfrey. Do you know who he is?
Of course, Godfrey, comedian.
Yeah. So I just ran into Godfrey on the street in Montreal at like, I don't know, like 3 a.m, and we went to get poutine. It wasn't just me, like me and some other comedians. We all just like went to get poutine, and we just like became buddies. And he's very friendly. I think he's like becomes buddies with everyone. And he was friends with all of the comics that were on the Nasty show last summer. Mm-hmm. And so like later he just brought me into the Nasty show green room to meet all the comics. And it was like Robert Kelly and like Miss Pat, and there's so many amazing. I was just so starstruck being in there, like very awkward hanging out in that green room. And I didn't know. I mean, I knew everyone and no one knew me. It was a very terrible feeling. But Nikki Glazer was on the show, and I'm a huge fan of hers. And I just think she's fantastic. And she was just there, and like, everyone's like not trying to make it weird, so like no one's trying to be like, you're not allowed to be here, because I was brought in with Godfrey.
Right.
But then obviously nobody knows who I am, and it's really difficult to be like, I'm also a comedian. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just don't know you. So I was trying to be cool, and like I really wanted to talk to Nikki Glazer, and I just like was sitting around trying to like orchestrate a scenario where I could sit next to her organically. It's just like very complicated. But it took the whole show. But at the end of the show, I finally like got myself into a scenario where I was near her. And then we talked about dating. And she was telling me how hard it was to date and how to use the apps and all that stuff. And we were talking about like whether or not she like dates comedians. And then she showed me her Raya app. Have you heard of Raya?
Oh, yeah. This is a VIP dating app, right? For some level of celebrity and above.
Yeah, it's like for famous people and beautiful people.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that beautiful people were excluded. But maybe you have to be affiliated with some sort of agency, like a beautiful people agency.
Well, no, it's like it's based on how many people follow you on Instagram.
So
it's basically just like famous people and Instagram models.
Instagram famous, yeah, that counts.
And so she was showing it to me, and obviously I'd never seen it before, and we were swiping through them. And on Raya, it's like a little video.
Okay.
Instead of pictures that you swipe through, but it's insane.
Smart.
Like it's not like you're talking about. It's not like people like saying stuff about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely crazy. It's like a little montage.
Okay.
So it's like a slideshow, pretty much.
Okay.
Of like your pictures, but then intercut in between your pictures are like they're like wallpaper photos. There's just like a valley, or like a swing in the park, or like just crazy shit. And it's set to music. And the craziest thing is like you have to watch the video to read the profile.
Yeah. I mean, so it sounds like exactly what I was thinking of. They got there ahead of me.
Well, you just like sit on your phone and you gotta watch this like 30-second video clip of like Enya singing, and then these like rolling hills, and then like some bald guy's head. like it just bursts in the middle.
Like a Getty images of him on a red carpet or something.
It's like absolutely like mania. Like if you want to skip it, you have to like go find the thing on the bottom of the video and like drag it along to the fast forward.
Oh God, no. Well, I guess that's the problem of being a VIP celebrity.
It was wild and hilarious.
Wow, that's pretty nuts. So one day you'll make it to Raya, right? Like that's it's on the bucket list.
That's all I want. Although I was asking Nikki Glazer about, because I think she's so successful, so hilarious, so beautiful. Like I just like think she's tits, and she was talking about how much of a hard time she was having dating, and I was like, how is this possible? Like, what hope is there for the rest of us? And she was saying that Raya like doesn't actually work as well as you would think it would, because all the men on there are like pretty average dudes. They're like producers or musicians or whatever. But then if you're a woman, you're like competing with Instagram models. So like,
oh, it's doubly unfair.
It's like everyone's better, but then everyone you're competing with is also better.
Oh man. Well, maybe better stick to Hinge, I guess.
So it's pretty rough out there. I don't know. I don't think online dating works. But now more and more you hear people that are like getting married that like have met through OkCupid or whatever. But
I think it's just volume at this point, right? Like it's like the default now. Like you don't even not online date. It's like you don't not do it. I think, right? Like kids growing up. I don't know when you're allowed to log into these things. Like 18, 19, does it age of majority?
I don't know.
Right? Like it's crazy. Like at what age are you allowed to get a Hinge account?
Oh, I've like never even thought about it. I've never tried to use it as a teen.
I'm assuming that like college age people is like it, right? Like,
but can I also say, like, most people on online dating sites don't even really want to date, nor do they want to hook up. Like, a lot of people on these sites just want to chat, or they just want to match. Like, they play it like a game, right?
It is fun, right? Yeah, it's points. You got so many matches because you got a good picture.
You collect people, or sometimes, like, even I've done this. Like, I'll just go on the app when I'm, like, bored, and I'll try to chat with someone, and I have no intention of meeting them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, it works for that, though, too, right?
Yeah.
It does work. I don't know. You know what, Cassie? I think we can agree that it is a wild west out there of online dating, and I'm glad that I am not subject to it.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, well, I think we can get to the questions from Twitter. Yeah. So I've asked for questions on Twitter, and we got some great ones. Well, first question from friend of the show, Malt_Skull on Twitter. Shout out to Malt, our Finnish friend. And his question is, if you could headline any comedy event or sell out any venue, what would it be and why?
I think it's weird to think about, like, selling out a venue. Like, I don't know that people derive... I don't know. I guess it must be a thing that people are like, oh, the bigger the theater I can sell out, the more, like, that makes me a likable person.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of, like, massive, like, the biggest, like, you're selling out Madison Square Garden, like, 5 nights in a row or whatever. Like, that's, like, for comedy, that's, like, the biggest that it has ever been done or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't know that those are actually enjoyable, like, spaces to perform in, because I imagine, like, a really huge stadium, like, that throws off the whole vibe, right? Like, the club feel, I think, is the most intimate.
You know what? The question is, if you could headline any comedy event or sell out any venue, what would it be? So it could be the smallest venue you know. You could sell out, be like, it would be the Ossington for my album recording.
Yeah. I mean...
what about a festival? Have you heard of like big comedy festivals they have now, or like music festivals that also have comedy?
No, I think that's a terrible idea to try to sell out a venue that does music instead, because everyone will love music and they will hate the comedian.
Yeah.
But I would want to sell out just like, okay, you know what actually looks really nice is the Sydney Opera House.
Ooh.
The one that Hannah Gadsby did hers in. That looks like a really nice venue. It was like graduated seating, and it was so like artsy. I always feel like it's so fancy to do arts venues, like places where normally you go see ballets and orchestras and stuff. That's like super classy. Yeah. I just did a show at the National Arts Center, and it was so beautiful.
That's fancy.
Yeah.
That is like very fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Were you wearing a ball gown?
Oh my God, I would have. If they would let me, I absolutely would have. There was like really exciting like lights and there were like shadows behind you on the curtains that like made it look like you were in a forest. It was the most beautiful venue.
Wow, that's so cool. That'd be a good venue to sell out.
I mean, I guess we already did that. That show was sold out. So
we'll frickin' check it off the list.
It's the Sydney Opera House of Ottawa.
Sydney Opera House of Ottawa. Wow, that's great. Yeah, great answer. Sydney Opera House. I believe that's where Simply Red recorded their final farewell show album. Got to check it out. Oh. Simply Red. All right. Well, thank you very much to Malt, friend of the show, for the question at Malt_Skull. You got to check him out. Oh, the way the water flowed under the snow. All right. Next question comes to us from Todd Williams at the Todd Williams. Hi, Cassie. I don't know you, so here are my standard first must knows. 1, favorite local hangout. What is it?
Oh my God, my house. I pay so much money to be in it. This is where I like to hang. And also this is where my cat lives.
That's a great answer. And it's so smart. You are paying a bunch of money. Like people don't think that you're like paying a cover fee for your own house. But if you are paying the money, you think about it all the time. So yeah, that's a great local hangout. But if you had to leave to go somewhere, where would it be?
Well, this is also like tricky for me because I don't drink. I don't do any of the fun activities. I don't dance. So like most of those places I don't frequent. Mm-hmm. But I guess like Where do I like to hang out?
Yeah,
I
where do
like
you
to
go?
hang out at comedy venues.
Okay.
So like, I guess, okay, actually, where I like to hang out is the Alibaba's across the street from Comedy Bar.
Boom. Both great hangouts.
Love shawarma. I will fight anyone who says shawarma is not a health food. And if you find a comedy venue, I will be at the nearest shawarma place near there.
Well, that's great. You got to check out the local shawarma at Alibaba. All right. Now, number 2 from Todd. How many glasses of milk can you drink in a row? And be honest.
Not many. I'm not a fan of milk.
You're not a lactose tolerant person?
Oh, no, I am.
You're tolerant, but not a fan.
Yeah. I just don't like it, and I don't think I would. I don't think I would waste my my thirst quenching on milk. That's not my beverage of choice.
Right, and we're not supposed to drink a lot of it. I think anyway.
Yeah, I don't think dairy is good for you, but I don't know.
So the answer is probably 1.
Yeah, maybe less than 1. I can't really see myself. I've never finished a whole beer because I don't like it. There's no way I would finish a whole glass of milk, I think.
Okay. So what is your go-to drink? Is it water?
It is water,
Hell
but
yeah.
I will say, because I don't drink beer and I get a lot of drink tickets doing comedy, I love venues that have kombucha.
Ooh.
I love using my drink tickets if there's kombucha. At the Burdock, they have kombucha on tap.
Oh, wow.
And it's like the best time of my life.
That is next level. My wife, shout out, just got into drinking kombucha, so I've recently found out what that is, and that is a drink, like a weird fermented tea. Yeah.
Oh, everybody get into it. It's so great.
Get into it. But it is wildly expensive, so using those drink tickets must be, wow, that's probably more expensive than a beer.
Oh, my God. When I did a show at the Burdock, they gave me 8 drink tickets, and first of all, I was like, I don't know who's drinking.
Someone would die, yeah, or like you'd be you'd have a real rough set if you had those tickets before.
Yeah, but then this woman at the bar was like, "Do you want our kombucha on tap?" And I was like, "Thank God I have 8 tickets."
Holy cow! You're like, "Can I get it in a to-go mason jar?"
Oh my God, I should have done that. Yeah, I should have brought my own.
Brought your own mason jar. Like, what's clinking in your backpack? Just 6 jars of kombucha.
No. Yeah, no, I'm just being eco-friendly.
Wow, okay, that's great. Kombucha. What's your favorite kombucha brand? I'm looking for new brands. Did you think that?
I just have the normal one. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, the OG one.
Was it called like Synergy or something like that? I don't know. I don't know. But
GT, right? GT? It's like I don't know. It has a little like mandala on the front. Anyways, check it out at your local grocery store. Kombucha. And you can make your own if you have like 3 weeks.
Yeah, if you got a lot of free time.
You got some time. All right. And the final question from Todd Poppy Carlos. Worst job?
Worst job that I've ever done, or just like that exists?
The question is worst job. So I guess it can be interpreted however you want. I'm not going to infer what Todd meant by the question.
Okay, well, when I was a teen, I was, not to brag, a makeup girl at Shoppers Drug Mart.
Okay.
And this was well before I used makeup, and I just, like, no idea what I was doing out there. But I remembered, like, you just have to lie to get commission sales.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a retail commission environment. Do you have to wear like a lab coat, or do you have to like dress up?
You're supposed to have a little like blazer type of situation.
Okay, right, yeah.
Again, keeping in mind, I was 16 and like not at all aware of fashion, like just unaware. And then these middle-aged ladies would always come in and be like, "Will this like $55 skin cream make me look younger?" And you're like, "Yes, with the time machine." You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah. You're like, "Yes, asterisk."
So I just remember all the other makeup girls were really mean to me. but like rightfully so.
You know what? I can't say I'm surprised. Like from what I know of Shoppers Drug Mart makeup counter girls, which is a very limited amount of interactions, but from the amount of interactions that I have, which is some, They're kind of like the mean girls in high school or whatever, right?
They are. They're ruthless because all they do is lie to old ladies about whether or not to buy the expensive products.
Yeah.
And then they're also like very cutthroat. I don't know why it was such a competitive environment at the
Well, it's their money, right? You gotta secure the bag. You gotta if that old lady goes over to Michelle, Michelle gonna get that sale.
I guess, I mean, we were making 1% commission, so I don't know how much of an incentive that was, but okay.
I don't know.
But yeah, so they were all, like, quite mean to me. But, like, again, rightfully so. I was, like, so young and, like, absolutely didn't know about makeup. But, like,
you know what? It sounds like that's a bad job.
Yeah, so that, and then I got fired from that. So.
You got fired? No.
Well, it was like a weird firing. Like, they for sure wanted to fire me. But at the time, I was 16. I was in school. Like, I did not care about this job.
Yeah.
And, like, when exams came up, I was like, hey, can I just, like, have fewer shifts because I can't really work as much this month? And they're like, would you rather just not have any shifts? And at the time, I was like, yeah, I guess that would work for me. And then I just, like, never went back.
Would you like to just fade away from working here?
But that's, like, actually literally how that went down. And then I was like, yeah, I don't really care particularly. So I just, like, gave them my name tag and then left.
Wow, that really worked out. Yeah, that kind of happened to me one time with, like, a high school job where it was, like, I had another job and I told this one other job, I was like, oh, I can work, like, these couple days a week. And they just stopped scheduling me. It's like, all right. Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, but at the time, like, I was too dumb to think about it. But at the time, I should have, like, made a fuss about it and gotten them to fire me so then I could claim employment insurance.
Exactly. Yeah, that would have been the trick. But, you know, live and learn.
Yeah, live and learn.
So thank you very much to Todd for the great questions. Got to check him out at the Todd Williams. He looks like a statue. All right, next question comes to us from Eugene Byron. Oops, I'm sorry. Eugene Byron. At EY Buy-In on Twitter. And this question is, favorite game show?
I don't watch a lot of game shows, but I do like, every once in a while will get sucked into a Jeopardy wormhole on YouTube.
Okay.
And I don't particularly care about the questions, but I love the contestants.
Okay.
The people fascinate me because none of them have TV experience, so they're all so shocked to be on television. And I also think Alex Trebek is really mean to everyone. I don't know if everyone else gets this vibe off of him.
Yeah, definitely.
But he's like 100% making fun of everyone.
Yeah, there's great supercuts on YouTube of just like him being so subtly vicious to the people, right? It's so like just quietly, underhandedly, incredibly mean.
Yeah, I love that because all the contestants never can tell. They're always like answering the questions very earnestly. And I also think like a lot of the men on there are very sweet. Like they always like to talk about their wives in the little chat segment. And I'm like, that's so cute. So, you know, I like that.
Jeopardy is a great answer.
I've watched all the episodes of Ken Jennings. I think he's fantastic, and I fangirl him so hard.
Oh, you fangirl Ken Jennings, another Twitter guy. He like pivoted to being famous on Twitter after his Jeopardy run, and he like writes books now and stuff. He's good. Have you seen the new guy, the new Jeopardy champion, who like broke the records for like most in one episode, and he went on a crazy run. I think he might still be on it, and he's like using crazy Jeopardy game theory to like crush everyone.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I very recently I made some kind of tweet where somebody was like, you should date this Jeopardy guy that's like making a bunch of money.
James Holzhauer is his name.
I don't know if that's him, but I looked him up. Wait, let me Google him. How does you spell his name?
James Holzhauer. And he won $131,127 on an episode of Jeopardy.
Yes, it was this guy.
Yeah.
And they were like, you should try to date him because he has a lot of money. And I was like, relax, I don't need this guy's money. He's like not even that handsome. Why would I date him? That's crazy.
Well, also he's good at Jeopardy.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Isn't he the one who like figured out the buzzer?
I think he what he did was combine all of the theories, right? So like Ken Jennings kind of showcased how you could kind of use theories, game theory on it to exploit it, and then other people have sort of tried and done pretty well using the different theories. But he like combined all the theories into his own version of it, and it like worked out insanely well, where he was able to win all this money.
But I like Ken Jennings not because he was successful. I like Ken Jennings because he's so sweet and genuine.
He was very clever.
Because there was the other guy that was like better at Jeopardy. The Brad who was like an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like the two of them that played against Watson, the other guy.
Yep.
And I don't like him. I think he's got a bit of an attitude problem.
Yeah. Well,
and he was very handsome and he was very good at Jeopardy, but I didn't like him as much as Ken Jennings.
But he's a secret bad guy, and you got to root for Ken Jennings. So, all right. Well, thank you, Eugene, for the great question. All right. The next question comes to us from Marvin at Clarity1185 on Twitter. And he asks, what has been your most memorable performance?
Why is that his voice?
I know. That's what I thought he sounded like.
Okay, great.
I don't know Marvin.
Just
but
based on instinct.
Marvin, if it's not what your voice sounds like, let me know.
Yeah, you don't want to be sued for defamation.
Yeah.
Okay, my most memorable experience.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The NAC one was not bad, but actually the best thing I've done is a roast show. It's called Your Hood's a Joke, which is a really great
worldwide phenomenon created by Danish Anwar. Or
yeah.
Danish, yeah.
Yeah. He's fantastic, and I work with him a lot. He's a really great producer. And we did a show for New Year's Eve a couple years ago at the CA Mervish Theater at Bloor and Young.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a 1,000-seater. And it was full, and it was an insane experience to play for that many people. Especially it was roast jokes, and everyone was on board. So like roast jokes have a quality of like being like one-liners, right?
Yeah.
Like you do the joke, and then it has a punchline, and then it like the
big build,
one.
and then bam, punch.
Yeah, and so I just remember it was so insane to do those jokes and then listen to the laughter start at the beginning, like at the front of the audience, and then peel back, and then the people at the back would laugh, and then it would roll back in. And that was I think easily the largest audience I've ever played for, and so it was the only time I'd ever felt this thing, like, I don't know, I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, and
I was just thinking that, a lot of comedians talk about it. Yeah, who was like, once you translate to start doing like medium to bigger size theaters and venues, that there's this thing where you have to wait for the laugh. Like, you have to wait extra time for the people at the back, because it takes an extra second for them to get the joke, and then the laughter takes an extra second. You have to wait that extra second to not like jump in for your next one-line roast tag or whatever.
And they also talk about, like, you get to a certain point where you play the audience laughter like an instrument. And I got, like, a tiny glimpse of that, because it was very much like, especially in that roast environment, everyone's paying so much attention that the slightest thing that you do, like you twitch your eye, you make a small movement, you smile, like people catch on everything. So I remembered I was like, after my joke, during the laughter, you could sustain the rolling laughs by, like, I would like smile or whatever, like flip my hair, and then it would go again, and it was insane to do it that way. Like
a physical tag. You're like, I just said that. What are you gonna do? That's great.
Yeah, well, so that was my most memorable experience. And it was such a high. I was like, I've never done drugs, but like I imagine that's the closest I will come to doing drugs. And it was, you just feel so out of body. And then I remember the show ended quite early because it was New Year's Eve, so we weren't trying to like ring in the new year with people. So we ended at like maybe 9 or 10. And then I didn't have plans that night, so I just went home. And then you come from doing such a high energy show, then I was just home and I got so sad.
Oh yeah, that's the other side of it. Like you gotta unwind all that energy, right? Like you gotta do something to wind down.
Well, at the time, like I could have like gone out to comedy bar or whatever and hung out with other people, which would have been smarter, I think. But I just was like, I'm tired, I'm gonna go home, and I didn't think about it. And then I was just like, you have so much like dopamine swimming in your head, and then suddenly there's nothing there. You're like, I'm so alone.
Yeah, the crazy like adrenaline spike of the show, and then like the denouement after. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Well, great answer. Would have been great to see that show. You got to check out any roast battle, comedy roast battle, if it's in your city, and it travels all over the globe. He did one in Tokyo recently, so shout out to Danish. He's an OG Twitter follower of mine, although I have never met him. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's great. I work with him a lot. I do his roast show all the time. Now it's a monthly at Yuck Yucks on Sunday night. And yeah, he's traveling it all around, and it's a huge thing.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, so check it out if it is in your neck of the woods. Roast battle, or your hood's a joke. All right. Well, I think we got one more question in the old question bag here for Cassie before we wind her up. And that question comes to us from, wouldn't you know it, the next week's guest on the program. It's Llama in a Tux. I'm talking about at Llama in a Tux.
Nice.
Longtime friend of the show question asker, soon to be friend of the show, asks, which Ninja Turtle would win in a fight if they all turned on each other?
I don't know the Ninja Turtles, but I know they all have colors.
Yes.
And
do you know the colors?
I don't.
All right, just list some colors. There's 4 colors, and we'll see if you get them.
I think there's a red one.
Yes.
I think there's a yellow one.
No.
Is it orange?
It's orange.
Okay, fine. There's an orange one.
There's orange. I'll give it to you.
Okay. We strayed from the primary colors, but okay. And then I'm not clear. I think is there a green one?
No, they're all green.
Well, okay, fine. Well, then I don't know. Then I don't know the other one.
You don't want to guess? There's 2 more colors. Just take a guess.
There's a blue one?
Gotta be a blue one. He's the leader.
He's the leader? Is the blue one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right, whatever. And then, well, it wouldn't be my pick for colors, but if I was the leader, I would pick a better color, but whatever. And is there a purple one?
Purple, of course. Complementary with the orange.
Uh-huh. I'm going to say I like the red one.
So the red one would win if they all turn on each other. I mean, that's a great answer. That'd be my pick, and he would be my pick of the person who would turn on the rest of them. So maybe it's like they don't turn on each other. Well, red one just turns on the other 3 and kills them all.
Well, can I say I literally don't know anything about but the Ninja Turtles it comes up very often in improv, of which I also do. I'm an improviser. And so I've learned a little bit about the Ninja Turtles fully through improv scenes with other people that I just had to yes and them.
That's so funny.
And I believe the red one has anger problems. Is that
is
possible?
Correct. Yes, that is correct.
Well,
the name of we should name them, and it's Raphael is the one we're talking about. Red for Raphael, and he's mad. He's always angry. Leonardo is the leader. He's blue. Donatello, purple. He does machines, and of course, party dude Michelangelo is the orange guy.
Okay. Well, I'm on board with the red one.
Yes.
What's his name? Raphael.
Raphael. They're all named after those famous Renaissance painters.
Yeah. Well, I like him. He speaks after my heart.
Yeah, he was my favorite too. He's a badass.
If he has anger problems, I'm on board. I'm angry all the time as well. And he seems like he would tell you the truth, which I like.
You know what? I guess that's true. He is, if nothing else, honest.
Yes, which it is an important quality in a comedian.
It's an important quality, because the truth, there's got to be the truth to make it really funny, right? Mm-hmm. You got to have the truth in comedy.
People love true things. You don't have to be funny if you're very honest. Yeah,
some things are funny because they're true. You just say it because it's true and it's funny. So
yeah,
it's a little secret.
That's a comedy hack, is if you cannot figure out joke writing, which a lot of comedians apparently can't, you just tell the truth, and then it doesn't matter what format it's
smart. So everybody listening, if you're writing on a set right now, just write some true stuff. Think about some facts, and then see if that works.
Gargle at some facts, yeah.
Well, Cassie, I think we did it. Thank you so much again for being my guest on the new and improved season 2 of Friends of the Show, episode 54. Wrapping up.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on the show.
It's so great to have you. So we got to look out for Cassie online and on your TV coming up soon. on all those great projects.
On a show. One of my shows just aired. I'm on a show called Bajillionaires that's on the Family Channel.
Boom! Family Channel. That's great. So, yeah, kid-friendly.
That's great. It's like about kids it's like Silicon Valley for children.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really neat. Yeah, Disney Channel, and I'm sure there'll be way more things by the time this podcast airs, so you got to keep up with it at CassieCow.com. And you can check her out /shows to see when she's going to be in your area. It's a nice little calendar format.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, well, thank you again for being on the podcast, and you know what I'll do? I'm going to play that theme. So, thanks again, and I hope you have a delightful rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, you too.
All right, and bye to all the listeners. Thanks for listening.
Should I hang up?
Yep, bye.
Okay, bye.
Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode with Cassie. Now do follow her at Cassie Cow on Twitter for great jokes and on Instagram for great videos and cat fun. She is so great, and you definitely don't want to miss her out on seeing her when she comes to your city. Now, fans of the podcast should be following at FOTS Pod on Twitter and interact with the show posts and let us know what you think of the shows. And Twitter users looking for some jokes should follow me at Skinner Steven. New jokes daily. And if you're a new listener, you can head over to www.stephenwskinner.com for all the old episodes, or you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever great podcasts are consumed. Thank you to Ruby Coast for the music, thank you to Kyle I. Davidson for the theme, and thank you specifically for listening. I am Stephen W. Skinner. Have a great one.